Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Glam Bodybuilding, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a comment that was just made in the comment section of YouTube. Like, sometimes people make different comments just to say things, just for creating a conversation sometimes. Or sometimes they're trolling, or sometimes they just don't know any better, like whatever. So I'm open to any of the possibilities here. So I'm not trying to be negative, it's whatever. It's just the nature of the beast called YouTube. So this person said, Jason, high frequency is wrong, and high volume is the only way to get muscle, and you did everything wrong, basically. And I'm like, wow, that's quite a statement there, big guy. Like, you know, so I mean, some of you guys would understand the stupidity of the statement, but the fact is that I did not use high volume. I used volume at periods of time. I tried it and I got some results from it, but I noticed that there was a point of diminishing return. There was only a certain amount of volume that was giving me some benefit, but then once I went over that, it wasn't giving me the same benefit as higher frequency type training. Now that's just me. That's just me. And like I said, this person, if they would have made the comment and said, hey, high volume is the only thing that's right for me, if they would have said that, I'd be like, okay, no problem. But they were saying, Jason, you did everything wrong. So I find it hilarious, like how you could win national titles and actually be top in the world for a period of time, and then people still come and say, hey, you did it all wrong. So I don't understand the logic. I do feel, and I know a lot of you guys probably resonate with this, that there seems to be a lack of logic in the world, like a massive one. Like for instance, people say, hey Jason, have you ever tried this? Have you ever tried that technique or this technique? Yeah, that's a reasonable question. But a lot of times people assume that, hey Jason, you've only done, you know, they see a video of bench presses and they say, oh, they just assume that you've only done bench presses, you've never done flies, you've never done any of the other exercises, right? So they make leaps of logic that are proof that they don't, you know, make a deep enough connection with you to really understand who they're talking to. And I find that a lot of times the logic is lacking. I don't know what happened, whether it was just too much Donkey Kong, because I'm a victim of that. I play too much Donkey Kong in the garage when I'm working out. Maybe something has short-circuited people's brains where they don't use any logic. So like you'll have $1 billion and they'll come up to you and say, how did you make that $1 billion? And then you tell them how you made that $1 billion and they're saying, that was wrong. You can't make $1 billion that way. And it's like, well, I don't understand what you're saying, because I just made $1 billion using these techniques. So how can you say that you can't make $1 billion? Because I just did. It's a circular argument. I don't understand it. So what I can share with you guys that will benefit you is that I noticed there was about 12 sets for myself. 10 to 12 sets was about the highest amount of volume usually that I could go before my muscle was absolutely totally fatigued, and it didn't seem to give me any extra benefit to go above that. I'm not saying to never try. You know, you always want to push your boundaries here and there. But if I was doing lower frequency type training and I wanted to do super high volume workout, that would be usually the threshold. If I went above and beyond that, then I found, unless of course I'm doing little pumper exercises like little isolations or something, I just found that the body was just too fatigued and too exhausted to really do any more, no matter how much I was eating or whatever. So honestly, some people out there say if you're doing more than 3 or 4 sets and you're going all out like super intensity, you shouldn't have the energy to keep going. I mean, this is an anaerobic type of power type of activity, right? When you're lifting weights. So there's arguments for both sides. I say try both and see what works. But for me, I found that the sweet spot was around 3 to 8 sets on a 2-day split, somewhere around there, you know? And like, so for instance, today, I had done a little bit of light chest yesterday, just kind of a pumper sort of, some people call it feeder workouts, but I just did, 70-pound dumbbells for flat bench, just doing, sets of 15, 20 reps, just to get the groove down, just to get a little bit of a pump in between playing some video games last night, just when I was in the garage. Of course. And then basically, I did bench presses today, and I only did about 3 work sets on bench with 275, and I found that was sufficient because my muscles were already a little bit kind of broken down from the day before, so I didn't need as much volume. So I change the volume based on the frequency, right? So based on this, I found that sometimes I need 3 sets, sometimes I need 5 to 7 or 8 sets. It just depends on what's going on in my body at the time and how much rest I've had between the last workout and the workout right now. But one thing this person said was that blood flow is the only thing that grows muscle. But the funny thing is that blood flow isn't necessarily increased by doing more sets in one workout, right? You can do workouts throughout the week and get blood flow every day. That would be really more blood flow, wouldn't it? I mean, if you're getting blood flow to the area every day or every second day, that would be more blood flow than just doing a super big workout once a week. So again, this logic was kind of missing. I'm not really sure why people think sometimes the things they do, but they seem to kind of justify why they're doing what they do. And instead of just saying, hey, this worked, I don't know why it worked, but it works for me, right? So yeah, for me, high frequency or medium frequency seems to be more ideal, with once in a while doing a higher volume type of training, because I do enjoy that once in a while. But for the most part, 2-day split type of training is really what I've been doing, and that's why I promote it. So when you see me train and when you see me promote something, it's because I actually do it or have experience with it. It's not because I think there's some other technique that's better, because why would I do a technique that I think is substandard, right? Why would I use techniques? That's the other confusing statement I get on YouTube. People say, why don't you train this way? Because this way is better. I'm like, if I really thought that was a better way of training, if that was my experience, I would be training that way, right? So I'm training the way that is the best that I've found for myself at this point. I'm not saying that can't evolve, but at the same time, there's a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. There's funny things that people say, you know, like high volume is the best. I'd say high volume is not necessarily the best, because at some point high volume becomes endurance training. And endurance training, when you get too much into endurance, then it starts to actually break you down and cause too much cortisol release, as well as just too much muscle breakdown. And it's not necessarily positive muscle breakdown. Sometimes it's just you're just beating a dead horse. You don't even have the energy to be able to really contract the muscle hard anymore. Now it's just like doing long cardio, right? So power and anaerobic really does have to do with time, and there is going to be a threshold. Like you can't, like for instance, if you sprint, right? If you do 100-meter sprints, you wouldn't be able to do that for 5 hours straight. Like a 100-meter sprint, then walk 100 meters, then a 100-meter sprint. Like after 4 hours, you know, your legs are going to be dying. But there are people that run marathons, you know, for the same duration of time, but because they're at a lower pace, they can keep going, right? So let's just say 2 hours, whatever, right? But if you're just running constantly at 100% max, you are going to burn out much faster, and you're going to break the muscles down much faster. You know, people don't tear hamstrings jogging, but they do tear hamstrings sprinting. So in that way, like in that kind of flavor, I think you get what I'm saying. Power training is not an endurance sport, and it's not necessarily a super high volume sport. And if you're doing too much volume, it can actually work against you. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I hope this helped out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalglandbodybuilding.com, and thanks to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now. Mountain. It's getting dark up here. I gotta leave. There are monsters up here, 100%. I mean, you don't see it on the mainstream news, you know, and everybody knows if you don't see it on the mainstream news, it can't be true, right? But there are monsters up here. Mainstream news is scared of saying anything. You know why? Because, you know, there's a chance that they're the ones running the bio facility, the bio lab up here, and creating these guys, you know? I hope to expose this kind of stuff in the future, but I'm just saying, there's a reason why they don't want to say that these guys are running around here eating other YouTubers. There's a reason why I'm the only YouTuber up here. You know that, right? Because I'm smart. I pay attention to my surroundings. You know what I mean? I'm like a forest ninja. But I tell you, there's all sorts of camera equipment and tripods and stuff all over the place here. I bet you if you went looking, you'd find it. And guys with little YouTube plaques and stuff. And like, look at me, I got 100,000 subscribers. You know, you see it. So yeah, I'm gonna go. It's for my own safety. Mountain. Natural Gland.